What's up, everybody? Good morning. So, normally I come on camera and introduce myself as Bitch 2. But if you follow my other endeavors besides Bitches Love Sports, then you know I often go by Jazz Monet. That's actually the name that I write under. And today I want to talk to you about an article that I recently wrote for InsideTheStar.com. And by recently, I mean yesterday. So, I published a post with this title. It says, no matter what's thrown at us, we'll be ready. Dak Prescott confident ahead of Giants matchup. So the article was basically me highlighting the significance of some of the things that Dak said during his media availability on Thursday. Now, when other outlets started writing about this particular interview with Dak, a lot of them latched on to this particular quote.
Yeah, my confidence is at an all-time high, and I think it's credit, as I said, to Mike and to the veteran guys.
But when I was watching video of this interview, I actually really liked this quote.
I think our defense presented us great opportunities all spring that no matter what's thrown at us, we'll be ready.
So this video isn't about anybody being right or wrong. Honestly, regardless of which quote stands out to you, they're actually both connected. And that was kind of one of the main points in my article, honestly. Dak actually used the phrase all-time high 3 times during this interview. He said it in reference to his confidence, like I just showed a second ago.
Yeah, my confidence is at an all-time high.
But before that, he actually said it in reference to his comfort level.
My comfort level is at an all-time high.
But before that, the first time he brought it up, he was actually referring to the level of competition that he was dealing with at practices and during training camp.
The competition is at its all-time high.
And by competition, I don't mean from the other quarterbacks. I mean like the offense facing off against the defense. Apparently, that was a highly competitive situation.
Hey, CD! CD! I'm coming for y'all!
I actually like the fact that he used that phrase 3 times because as he talks, you can actually see how the 3 things are connected. So let's start with what he brought up first. That was competition. When he talks about competition, he uses the phrase iron sharpens iron. And that's something that we've heard him say a lot since the spring.
We've talked about it all training camp long, all off-season long. It's an iron sharpens iron. I mean, you look at the guys that we have on the other side of the ball and the way that they attack, the way that they rush, the way that the back-end guys play the ball, the linebackers flying sideline to sideline. It's been tough. It hasn't been easy at all. We go back and forth. And it's exciting. That's what it's about. The competition is at its all-time highest as I've ever been here just at practice alone. So, and that doesn't go just for the starters. It goes for the guys on the show team. It goes for the backups. Anybody that gets a rep on this team is ready and prime and practicing to a standard to make the other guy better.
So if you kept up with what was going on at training camp, then you know that the Dallas Cowboys defense did everything that they could to make things hard for the Dallas Cowboys offense. Now, of course, they couldn't actually hit the quarterback, and I don't think that they were going 100% in terms of contact in general. But when it came to coverages, when it came to takeaways, when it came to getting through the O-line and getting to the quarterback, they didn't pull punches. You know, they tried to show how difficult it would actually be to get some of these plays off against what several people say is one of the best defenses in the NFL. And this was especially true for Micah Parsons, Trayvon Diggs, and Stephon Gilmore. Now, these 3 guys are some of the best athletes in their positions, and having to overcome their presence every day really tested the Dallas Cowboys offense. As a matter of fact, this was the reason why Mike McCarthy said he didn't really feel like any other team would pose a challenge as great as the challenge that these 2 units were posing for each other.
I trust our practice environment. That's a big reason why we're staying in California one more week. I think the way our guys practice against each other, I mean, they push the envelope, you know, and it's competitive. And we're going to have two big time practices Tuesday and Wednesday. Don't miss it, David. But it's going to be, you know, I think that the way our guys compete against each other, you know, I think it serves us well.
So naturally, as the Cowboys offense was tested more and more, they became more comfortable in what they were doing. Them getting in reps in competition against a really good defense made them more comfortable. So we see competition at an all-time high leading to comfort at an all-time high. When talking about his own level of comfort, Dak attributed that not only to the level of competition he was dealing with and his ability to find success in spite of that, but also to the weapons that he has around him right now and his own history of experience as an NFL quarterback.
My comfort level is at an all-time high, and I think that comes with what I said about Mike, what you just said about all the receivers, having the weapons that I do, even the young guys. And then obviously just the experience that I've had in this league, just all playing a part in it.
So naturally, as his comfort level increased and he became more comfortable with this new system and the people on the field with him became more comfortable with this offensive system, their confidence level increased. Honestly, everything that I'm explaining is something these guys have been talking about all offseason.
Just being able to understand what's being asked of me and, what I need to know and how I need to play is not really it's not really a problem. Like I said, I know what's expected of me, and so I'm going to study and do everything I can to be able to play all of the positions.
Ever since OTAs, or honestly, whenever it was that they started having meetings and learning this new system, they've been talking about how it's making them more comfortable and how the concept of play call purpose is keeping them on the same page, and it's making all of them more confident in offense and more confident in what their role is and what they're doing.
That was the biggest problem for us last year. We were never on the same. Well, we were on the same page. It was just not as often as we want. So.
And if you've ever played a sport, you already know this. You understand the relationship between competition, comfort, and confidence. You already understand the fact that the more you have to compete against high-level competitors, whether it's during practice or during the game, the more you get used to what your role is and what you're supposed to do in your sport or on your team. Eventually, you get to the point where you don't have to think about it so much and you can just go out and execute. You just go out and perform. And the comfort level that you need to do that is a result of being tested over and over again and overcoming failures and making improvements. So I don't know if it was a coincidence that Dak used the phrase all-time high the way that he did. It's hard to believe that he would somehow know what questions they were going to ask. Actually, now that I think about it, all the years Dak has been doing this, maybe these questions have gotten a little bit predictable. Either way, I'm glad that he mentioned these things the way that he did. Competition, comfort, and confidence. Because it gives us an idea of how the offense has evolved over the past few months and what we should expect to see in terms of their demeanor tonight against the Giants. Speaking of the Giants, I actually ended this article by talking about the mutual respect between the Cowboys and Giants, specifically Dak Prescott and Giants defensive coordinator Wink Martindale. From what Dak said, you can tell he's not really taking anything for granted with this game. He definitely respects Wink Martindale as a defensive coordinator.
They've had a chance to go back and look at what they did best last year and build off of that, understanding who Wink Martindale is, wanting to get into multiple personnels, exotic blitz at times. He's had a lot of time on his hands, so it's about going back for us and studying what they've done against us and but being prepared.
So, of course, after saying that, I had to mosey on over to one of Wink's recent interviews and see if he said anything about Dak.
I think that when you look at the player of the caliber of Dak, he's been a Pro Bowler, he's a Walter Payton Man of the Year. Any type, he's one of the best competitors at the quarterback position, I think, and leader. He's mastered this offense.
So there's nothing really surprising there on either end, but there's also not any bulletin board material or anything like that. There's just a healthy level of respect and acknowledgement for the types of professionals that they both are. But what was kind of interesting were some of the other things mentioned by both Wink and Giants head coach Brian Daboll. So one of the media members asked Wink a question about what he thought in terms of how the defense had improved for this season. So he talked about their speed, which is good, but he also said that their execution might not exactly be up to par.
I think that, that the biggest thing you'll see is the difference in our speed. And then as soon as we can catch the execution up with the speed, and like I said, it's going to be fun for you guys to watch and for our city to watch.
Now, speed is good. They're definitely going to need it against this Cowboys offense. But I feel like if their execution isn't matching their speed, that could be an issue against skilled route runners like Brandon Cooks and CeeDee Lamb, as well as against the Cowboys players who can make people miss like Tony Pollard and Deuce Vaughn. So I don't know how much their execution is lacking, but if I were a Giants fan, statements like that would not inspire confidence. Now, outside of what he said about Dak Prescott, Wink Martindale didn't say too many things about the Cowboys offense, but head coach Brian Daboll did mention a few things that he had his eye on.
What makes Dak such a difficult player to defend?
He's a very smart quarterback. He can throw the ball in any spot you need him to throw it. He makes good decisions.
And that's why he wins a lot of football games, right?
Yeah, scores a lot of points.
Brandon Cooks is a new addition to this football team. What kind of matchup stress does he put on a defense?
Yeah, he stresses you vertically. He can run routes too. He's played this game a long time at numerous spots and been very productive wherever he's been. I have a tremendous amount of respect for him as a man and also a player. But he can take the top off. He can hit you vertical. He can work the intermediate. He can catch and run. He's a complete receiver.
Pretty complimentary, if you ask me. So everybody's being really respectful, acknowledging the strengths of both teams, the kind of stuff that you would expect going into week one, you know? So there's really not a lot to extract from these clips in terms of secrets or anything that you should expect that isn't already obvious. But what I will say is the way that everybody's talking about everybody's speed, I'm definitely expecting a fast-paced, high-intensity game where we see a lot of speed on display. That in and of itself is exciting to me. And personally, just because of all the changes that have been made over the past few months when it comes to players and personnel, as well as the new strategy that's being implemented, I'm expecting to see a Cowboys offense that's performing on a level that Cowboys fans have not seen in years and maybe have never seen since Dak Prescott has been the starting quarterback. So y'all know I'm an offense girl. I'm really excited about what we're going to see tonight. So if you're on Twitter, which is now known as X, it's just weird saying follow me on X. Like, it just doesn't flow like follow me on Twitter. Whose idea was that? Anyway, definitely follow me, BTCHESLUV Sports. Until next time, I'm Bitch 2, and I'm out.